Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. My camera is crooked. There we go. And I am here with my first Tag Tuesday of 2024. That sounds kind of alliterative. First Tag Tuesday of 2024. Anyway, I had taken kind of a break from tags, mostly at the end of 2023, just because I had some other stuff that needed to get done. Although I do really like doing tags. I think it's a great way to kind of like interact with other booktubers and make some connections. So I was really like early last week, I guess, by the time this goes out, I was kind of looking for a tag to do. And then Alex at Frank Fiction tagged me in one. So thank you, Alex. And this is a great tag. This is the book acquiring tag. And it was created at Enter the Book. And as I said, Alex at Frank Fiction tagged me. I'll put that in the box below along with all the prompts. So there are 9 prompts plus tag people. So let's go. First question, do you plan your book purchases ahead or impulse buy? It's a little, I don't know how to answer this one. I think it's a little column A, a little column B. Sometimes what will happen is I plan to buy a book. For one of my book clubs, my non-library book club, I frequently buy those books just because for some reason, we tend to be choosing newer books. And so I don't want to be at the mercy of a hold list. So I end up buying those books, but then I'll kind of like add some books to the order. And also for, my Shakespeare journey, I'll be buying the plays, but, I'm going to add something to that to kind of make it worth it. So it's a little, both. I try to limit going into physical bookstores pretty much for this reason. If I know I'm going to buy a book, I usually just go to bookshop.org and get it. But if I'm in a bookstore, I will browse and, my bookstore, my home bookstore is Powell's. Not the big one, not Powell's World of Books in downtown Portland, but one of the satellite ones, the one in the western suburbs, because I don't want to fight the traffic to go downtown and parking is terrible. And the suburb one has a nice big parking lot. So anyway, I will say almost all of my shopping there, unless I'm looking for someone else, any shopping for myself there is pretty much impulse buys. I have like a little method. I go in and I look at their different displays and see what's on display. They're really good at putting some interesting displays up. And then I will go to their remainder shelves, their on sale books, and look there. I do go in the stacks there, but not that often. If I'm impulse buying, I try to impulse buy either stuff that's on sale or stuff that's being featured. So yes, I impulse buy, and yes, I plan my purchases. Question 2, how do you decide what books to buy? So it's a couple different things. The first one is, do I think I'm going to be keeping this book after I buy it? In that case, I'm much more likely to buy it. So, there were my auto buy authors. There's, my William Kent Kruger standalones, I order right away because I know I'm going to want to keep those. Any book, Alice Hoffman, I order right away because I know I'm going to want to keep those. So any book I think has a reasonably good chance of ending up on my keeper shelf, I usually end up buying because it's kind of a pain. I'm having this right now with a couple of books, the postcard being one of them, where I got them from the library and now I want them on my keeper shelf. So I am trying to find a good condition used copy of them. It's just easier if I think, to be fair, lots of times I will get books and realize I don't want to keep this book, and that's fine. But I usually don't buy a book knowing I'm just going to get away. Except for sometimes book of the month ones, maybe, but whatever. Okay, question 3. What is your philosophy on where you shop? Online versus in person, large versus small, physical, digital, or audio, new versus used? So let me go through each of these. I try not to patronize Amazon when it comes to books. I will admit, buy a lot of other stuff from them. Just for ease. I don't like stores, so, Now, when I shop online, it's almost always through bookshop.org. And I have the page that I do have the page that I sort of connect to, but I will change that sometimes. If there's discussion upstairs with the family, sorry about that. But yeah, I usually buy from bookshop.org or from Waterstones if I order from the UK. And tip, if you're in the US and there's a hot hardcover book that you want, but you don't want to pay $30 for it, look at Waterstones, because sometimes they'll have it in paperback for super cheap. That's how I got Demon Copperhead for $30, or not $30, for $11 instead of paying $30. So anyway, so those are my two big book buying sources are bookshop.org and Waterstones. And I do buy more online. Now, if I go into a store, so usually if I go into Powell's, I'm going to buy books. You know, I go in there knowing I'm going to buy some books. If I'm somewhere else and I wander into an independent bookstore, I do try to buy something, but I usually don't. It's not necessarily books. And the reason why is because bookstores actually make more money off their sidelines than they do off books. So if I, in a little town and I go into a little bookstore and I want to support them, but I don't really want a book, I will go buy some postcards, or I will buy a mug or something that they are selling that's not a book. They'll get more money for that purchase than they would from a book. So there you go. Okay, large versus small. As I said, my home bookstore is Powell's. I'm not even in the biggest Powell's, and it's bigger than the Barnes & Noble in our town. So we're talking big. I would like to have a small bookstore to go to. Nothing against Powell's personally. I think Powell's is a great business. Nothing against them personally, but I would like to have a small bookstore to patronize. There aren't any in my area. There aren't any like new bookstores. There is, the library has like a satellite bookstore that they have, which I know where it is, but I haven't gone to because I just haven't. And they also have a little one in the library, which I do go to. And then they have their book sale twice a year. There is a place called Jan's Paperbacks that used to be in Aloha, actually, which is the little unincorporated town between my town and Beaverton. But now it's moved into Beaverton. I used to go there all the time. Since they've moved, I'm not even sure where they are, but they would have stuff. But as far as a bookstore, a small independent bookstore, there aren't any near me other than Powell's. So, but if there were, I would go to that one. Okay, so here we go. Physical, digital, or audio. I'm going to go this backwards. So I have both a Libro account and an Audible account. And I hate that I have an Audible account, but the truth is, and this is the undeniable truth, even though Audible is owned by Amazon, there are things on Audible I cannot get anywhere else. The Emily Wilson translations, which are the last thing I got for myself at Audible, of the Iliad and the Odyssey, you can only get at Audible. You cannot get them at Libro. What I did do with audio is I switched over from like the monthly where you pay $14.95 a month and get one credit to where you pay a certain amount and you get a year's worth at once. And I just have that sitting there. If the kids get an audiobook, I usually will get that because then they can listen to it on their Kindles. But I try not to get audiobooks for myself from Audible unless I can't get them from Libro. I do prefer Libro as a business. I also much prefer their app. Their app is much better than Audible's. And my Libro account is set to benefit Powell's, just because Powell's is my store. My kids are noisy today. That's just the way that is. Now, digital. I try really hard. First of all, I have a really huge owned TBR of electronic books because it's so easy to fall in the $1.99, $2.99 trap. And I have. So I've gotten to the point now where I just try not to buy digital books. That's library books. That's what I use my e-readers for and read the ones I already have. However, there are some books that I will get. They're usually pre-orders. Usually, it depends on, there's certain situations. Like William Kent Kruger has the next installment of the Cork O'Connor series coming out in August. Pre-ordered that one on Kobo right away. Louise Penny is a double buy author for me. So I buy the ebook version of her books when they come out. So The Grey Wolf, I already have a pre-order. And then when it comes out on paperback, I'll get the paperback for myself from Powell's. I do buy those new. So there are a handful, usually they're pre-orders, a handful of digital books that I will buy. They come from Kobo. Now I have heard that Bookshop is going to get into the ebook version. I'm hoping that's compatible with a Kobo reader. And then at that point, I will get my ebooks through bookshop.org. And large versus small. Oh, physical. I have to be careful buying physical books. I have to be able to read them. I have complained recently about, I just still happen to have it here, this one, because I got this from bookshop.org. And I got it and the print was so small and I have eye issues. So I mean, it was really physically painful, not because of the content or anything, just because of the print, physically painful to read this because the print was so small on it. So when it comes to physical books, I actually have to be pretty discerning. I have to look at the book and think, is this something that I'm going to be able to read? I should add, as we go through all this, I do have a book of the month membership. I'm trying to be good about like skipping months if there's nothing that interests me. But I do have, so there are books coming in through book of the month too, but that's its own thing. Question 4. What about little free libraries? What do you think about them? Have you used one? Why or why not? I love little free libraries. I would have a little free library, except we'd have to get it approved by our HOA. I hate HOAs. And if they did, we have some very inconsiderate dog owners here that would put poop bags in it. That's why I don't have my own little free library. Yes, we have people who like to hide their poop bags everywhere, and they would just like put it in with the books. But I love little free libraries. I just think that's the most awesome thing. And if I have a book and I purchased a book and I'm not going to keep it, it has a good chance of ending up at a little free library. If it's not something I'm going to pass on to some family members who live in Salem, I always keep a bag of books I think they'll like that I take down to them. It's going to go into a little free library. And this time of year, I don't so much because of my eye issues. I try not to drive at night and all that. But in the summer, like my son has a thing kind of just up the road a bit, and coming home, I go by a little free library. So I take him to his thing, and then on the way home, I drop a book off at the little free library and do that. I also have a book crossing account. So I put book crossing labels in it, and then if people pick up the books and they feel so inclined, they can register it so I can see where the books go. It's just kind of fun. Now I try to be discerning when I take a book. I feel fine leaving books and not taking them, but I do when I do look through and see if there's something there. Yeah. I tend to really only visit one. I need to expand my little free libraries and see what I can find. But I have no qualms taking, I do not take more than I leave. So if I only leave one book, I'll only take one book. But if I leave 4 books, I would feel okay taking up to 4. I've never done that. But, I never take more than I leave. But I love little free libraries. I think they're wonderful. And, I wish I had one, except for the poop thing. But Oh, I should also say for little free libraries before I get there, if I get a book from a little free library and it doesn't go on my keeper shelf, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. If it doesn't go on my keeper shelf, I make a point of making sure it goes back to a little free library. That one won't even go to my family because it doesn't feel right to me. So I feel like if I get it from a little free library, it needs to go back to a little free library. Okay, now question 5. How do you feel after acquiring a book? Do you share, like in a book haul or diary? I get a bit of a hit. I can be honest, it's true. There's a little bit, I'm so excited I got this book. I used to do like a book mail thing. Back when I was blogging and getting a lot of ARCs, I would do like a book mail post on Instagram. I don't do that anymore, but I do book hauls on this channel. And I will start doing, I think March was where I started doing them, March or April. I have it marked down. And I will start when I get to that doing revisits. That's to keep me accountable. And so yeah, I do share in that book haul the books that I bring in. And I like doing that because I like to see what I like to show what I have. And I also love watching other people's book hauls to see what they're getting. Okay, 6. How do you feel looking at your books that haven't been read? Does it matter if it's currently a lot or a small amount? Let me get honest here. It does stress me out to see the books that I have that I haven't read. I have a bookshelf and a half of physical books that I have not read. Now I need to get this down. I would really like to get it down so one of those bookshelves could come down here because my keeper shelf has outgrown the one shelf I had. So either my husband needs to take the hint and get me another bookshelf or something. So my keeper shelf is out of control. But yes, it does actually give me stress to see all these books that I haven't read. And I'm trying to get over that. I have to remind myself the books actually don't care whether or not I read them. They're inanimate. They don't care about anything because they don't care. They're just objects. But I do feel a little bit of that stress seeing all those books that I haven't read. And every year I have failed at my let's cut down my physical TBR. So that's why I've tried to set really specific, I wouldn't say ambitious, but enough to make a mark, let's say. So that's why this year it's like, I just want to finish the year with one less book than I already have. That's my goal. But yeah, it does bring me stress to look at the books and that I haven't read. Okay. This is question number 7. How do you decide what number of unread books is the right amount? It's less than what I currently have. I don't think there's a right amount. It's a comfort thing. I am never going to have an empty TBR bookshelf. I realize that. There are some books on my bookshelf, usually things I got from a little free library, that are like second in the series. So they're not even going to get read until I read the one that's before it. So I think, so this is what I will say. I think the right amount is enough that fits on one of the bookshelves in my bedroom. I'm currently at 1.5 bookshelves. So the older bookshelf, if I can get it to fit on the top 2 shelves of that bookshelf, that would be the right amount, but not even close to that. And that's just me. I think if I got it to that point, I wouldn't feel as stressed about it. Question 8. Do you have a TBR game or a process for reading them? So last year I tried doing my high priority TBR, which was each month I would randomly choose, I think, 5 digital books and 5 print books, and they would go on my immediate TBR. And it just, the immediate TBR just kept getting bigger and bigger, or high priority TBR just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So this year I just said, screw that. Everything went back on the shelves. And I'm really trying to lean into mood reading off my shelves now. So right now I don't have a game. Now, participating in things, different readathons, I can go and look at my shelves and see what fits. There's things like that where I might make a choice to choose something. But other than that, I'm trying not to tie myself into reading specific books unless there's a real reason for it. Okay, number 9. This is the last question, and then I will tag a couple people. Do you have a book buying problem? If so, what is the nature of it, and can it be adjusted? Yes, I don't know. I don't think it's a problem buying books. I just need to get to a point where my book buying equals my book reading, and I'm not quite there yet. So I don't know if I'd call that a problem, but I think it would be a problem, and this will down the road when I get to that point, if I'm able to stay at the point of like what I'm reading, amount of what I'm reading equals the amount that I'm bringing in, or even is a little bit more. Once we get to that point, then I can say, if I can stay at that, then no, it's not a problem. But if I get to that point and then go crazy, then that's a problem. Like that would be like a diet at that point. And you go off your diet and then you eat everything sort of thing. And that is a problem. So I can't tell you right now whether or not I have a problem, but stay tuned. We'll see. We'll see if I have a problem. And can it be adjusted? I think anything can be adjusted with enough intention. So yeah, I mean, I have purchased books this month, but not horribly. I mean, I have enough to like more into haul at the end of this month, but it's not horrible. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. So the final is to tag 2 or 3 others to ponder their book buying process. And I thought about this because I know a lot of people are doing like the Read What You Own challenge, and some people just are not big book buyers and all this. So I decided to go for Caitlin at Bandy's Books. Caitlin has a lot of, she organizes her books. They look so nice. And then she does these videos where she organizes her books. I just like, can I come help you? Because organizing my books is one of my favorite things to do. But yes, so Caitlin at Bandy's Books, and then I'm going to do Farrah at Bookstalgic. Now I know that Farrah is doing the Read What You Own challenge. But I don't really know what her buying methods were before that. So that's why I'm going to tag Farrah. So those are the 2 I'm going to tag. But if I haven't tagged you and you want to do this, please do it, because I'd love to see everyone's answers. Tag me so I can see, so I'm going to be sure to see what you put down. And I want to thank Alex at Frank Fiction for tagging me, and Enter the Book for creating this. I think it's Kristen at Enter the Book for creating this tag, because it was a lot of fun. And thank you. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment, tell me about your book buying process. Feel free to join my Discord. All the stuff is down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.